This week, Congress is on track to put in place the tools necessary to repeal and replace Obamacare. This is the first of several steps that we will be taking to deliver relief to Americans who are struggling under this law. Some of these steps will be taken by Congress. Some of these steps will be taken by the incoming Trump administration, and after he is confirmed, HHS Secretary Tom Price. So, this will be a thoughtful, step-by-step process. We're not going to swap one 2,700-page monstrosity for another. We're not going to jam some bill through Harry Reid's office on Christmas Eve only to find out what's in it after it's been passed. We're going to do this the right way. We're going to do this the way it was designed to do through the congressional committee system. And that is why we have to get it right. Of course, our goal, though, is to deliver relief as soon as possible. Because this is just not a matter of us keeping our promise to the American people. This is a rescue mission. And the reason we need to act, and act as quickly as possible, using the process the way it was supposed to be designed, is because we are on a rescue mission to prevent Obamacare from making things even worse. Look at the premium increases that we're getting hit with just this year. Minnesota's 59% increase in premiums. Tennessee, 63% increase in premiums. Alabama, 58% increase in premiums. North Carolina, 40%. Maryland, 25.2%. Pennsylvania, 53%. The law is collapsing. Take a look at the deductibles. The deductibles are becoming so high that people don't even feel like they have insurance in the first place. And families barely have the ability to find something better. In many areas, people are stuck with just one option to choose from, which isn't an option, it's a monopoly. These are not doomsday scenarios. These are real life scenarios that are affecting real families and real people. So we are determined to provide relief as soon as possible because this law is collapsing while we speak. And working with the new administration, taking action step by step, that is what we're going to do.
Mr. Speaker, there's a lot of desire among rank-and-file members to get more details on how this is going to play out. How soon and in what form can they expect to hear what is going to be done and at what time and in what form?
So, as you know, I like to run a bottom-up process that's collaborative here in Congress. We're going to work with all of our committees that are in charge of healthcare legislation, the Education and Workforce Committee, the Ways and Means Committee, the Commerce Committee, and we're going to have a full, exhausting conversation at our retreat to go through all of these things. What I think people are beginning to appreciate is we have lots of tools in front of us. It's not just a one-and-done bill kind of a thing. And so that is what we've been walking our members through, are all the options available to us to get this done. We have the budget reconciliation option, which is obviously something that we're moving on right now. We have the other regular order kind of options. And let's not forget, we now have an HHS, an administration that wants to work with us to fix this problem. So we have many tools in front of us. And if you want to take a look at what our vision for replacing Obamacare looks like, if you want to see what our plan is, go to our website and see what all those plans are. And now we're looking at exactly what is the best way to deliver on all of those reforms. And that's the process we're going through right now.
Mr. Speaker, did the president-elect, though, virtually paint you into a corner yesterday at his news conference when he said that the replacement part of this is going to be ready virtually simultaneously?
No, we're working together on this, actually. Not at all. I've spoken with President-elect Trump probably 2 times in the last 3 days on this. Mike Pence was in my office yesterday to discuss this. So we are in complete sync, and we agree. We want to make sure that we move these things concurrently at the same time, repeal and replace. We need to show that there's a better way forward. We need to show that even though this law is collapsing, we can bridge ourselves to a much, much better system. The pillars that we stand upon with replacing Obamacare, more choices, more options, lower prices, and more control over your own health care. Those are the things that we all believe in. We're completely in sync, planning on a daily basis with the administration for how to roll all of this out, and that's what we're doing.
But let me follow up for a second, please. Tomorrow, when most of us report that the House has voted to repeal Obamacare, don't you think a lot of Americans are going to be asking that question, where's the simultaneous replacement part?
Tomorrow we had the vote this morning. I'm very pleased, by the way, at the Senate vote. We're having that vote tomorrow. That is a procedural vote to get the process in place. Then we're going to go, as I mentioned in my opening remarks, through the process as it was designed, through our committee system to make sure that we spell out exactly how we're going to deal with this law using all the options and the tools we have available to conduct this rescue mission to rescue people from the collapse that is occurring now with Obamacare. Let me put it another way around. I think the president-elect said it pretty well on this front. We could just stand back and do nothing. As Republicans, we could just stand back and just watch Obamacare crash. We could watch the further pullouts that the insurers are telling us are coming this year. We could watch the massive deductible increases. We could watch the massive premium spikes. We could watch just the collapse of our healthcare system and say, look at what these Democrats did. We're not going to do that. We have a responsibility. People's lives are being affected by this. And so we have a responsibility to step in and provide relief from this failing law. And so we're going to use every tool at our disposal to do just that. And we have to do it all at the same time so that everybody sees what it is we're trying to do. And that is why I say we're in sync with the administration on that. Yeah.
You said you've been speaking with the president-elect a couple of times in the past few days. So do you agree with him that members of the U.S. intelligence community are behaving like Nazis?
Yeah.
And if not, have you expressed your view to him?
Look, I think as he gets to know our intelligence community better, I think he'll learn to appreciate all the great work that they do. I spent a lot of time with the intelligence community, given my line of succession, and I've spent hours and hours with them in certain locations going through this. He is just beginning that process. So obviously those are not words I would use, but he is understandably very frustrated at what's happening because it isn't fair. And it's all unsubstantiated. So his frustration is completely understandable. And I do believe that as he begins to see what the men and women in our intelligence community do, I'm not talking about the political people on top, but the people who are actually producing the intelligence, who Mike Pompeo and Dan Coates are going to be working with, I think he's going to learn to appreciate what they do.
What kind of impact do you think
Yeah.
that has on morale? So, do regular order options include, for repeal and replace, include the fiscal 18 process, and how so? And also, when you say relief, aren't Republicans going to have a hand in that scenario by creating this process using the budget?
So the budget process is the regular order process. You know, we pass a budget every year and we use budget bills that come from that process. That is regular order. That is what we're doing. And we're going to use every other tool at our disposal. That's the other point I'm trying to say, is there are many steps we can take to bring relief. Not to mention an HHS now that wants to bring people relief from Obamacare, in addition to the things we can do here in Congress. All taken together, we feel the need to step in front of the collapse of this law so that people don't get the rug pulled out from under them, so that they don't, collapse with this law and bring a new system that will work. That's going to take time. That's going to take a transition, and we want to make sure, we want to put people's minds at ease that they're not going to lose their health care, some February day, that we're going to have a good transition period while we move on all of these steps to rescue us from the collapse that is now occurring with Obamacare. How about over here, Casey?
You are setting up a process where you can repeal large chunks of Obamacare with just Republican votes. To replace it in a significant way, you need Democrats. How is that not pulling the rug out from under people?
Let me just say it this way. The premise of your question I would disagree with, Casey, is because Obamacare is collapsing. Don't forget this. Remember, the base case that we are walking into in 2017 with this new government is we're staring at a healthcare law that said, if you like your plan, you can keep it. That's not true. That said it would lower your premiums by $2,500. That's clearly not true. Oh, and that said that your deductibles were reasonable so you'll be able to use your insurance. That's not true. Oh, and by the way, 5 whole states have one plan to choose from, and we're being told they may lose that. Oh, and 31% of the counties in America, one plan to choose from. A political monopoly, that's not choices. So you have to remember, the law is in what the actuaries tell us, a death spiral. So we've got to intervene to prevent this from getting worse. And so, yes, I do hope and believe that some of this can and should be bipartisan. But if people are going to be so partisan and so ideological to try and cling to the failure of Obamacare, which is doing damage in people's lives, then, shame on that. But we've got a job to do, and our job is to use every tool at our disposal to fix this problem before it gets worse. Yeah.
Kevin McCarthy said yesterday, I believe, on the Hugh Hewitt show that you would have the reconciliation repeal bill to the president's desk by the end of February. Is that the timeline
We're working on an aggressive timetable. We're going to work the process as best we can. We're not holding hard deadlines only because we want to get it right. Again, we need to move quickly because the law is collapsing, but we also want to get it right. And we're going to go through regular order, unlike what the Democrats did. We're not going to do the Gatorade and the Cornhusker kickback in Harry Reid's office on Christmas Eve, and then pass a massive bill that you don't know what's in it until after it's passed. We're not going to do that. We're going to do this the way that Congress is supposed to work, but we do feel the need to act quickly because, again, this thing's collapsing. Yeah.
Ryan, are you concerned at all about including language defunding Planned Parenthood in the reconciliation bill and how that could possibly impact moderate House GOP members in 2018?
Yeah, so we're working off the bill we passed last year. And remember, our goal in that policy is to get health care to women, particularly in low-income communities who need it, without all the controversy surrounding Planned Parenthood. That's why we think these dollars are better directed to community health care clinics. Federal qualified health clinics, which I have lots of experience with in Wisconsin, are very good. And by the way, for every one Planned Parenthood clinic, there's 20 federal community health centers. There's 20 to 1. And we think it's better to send these dollars to those clinics that do a very good job of giving women the services they need, the preventative services, without all the controversy surrounding Planned Parenthood. Yeah. I think if we deliver our promises, which like we will, we'll do real well. Christina. Sorry, man. Well, that's why I was, to Casey's question, I was saying we're going to get this right. And so we're building all of these bills through our committee process. And so when we have all of those ready is when we're going to move forward. Sorry, I passed over you. Go ahead.
Can you expound on what you mean by rescue in terms of the sort of immediate sense? A lot of this, we're talking about the high deductible
Yeah.
plan design. How do you?
Yeah, it's a good question. So we are hoping to pass reforms. It's not just repeal Obamacare, but it's repeal and replace. And so we're hoping to pass as many reforms as we can to bring new options and opportunities in the marketplace for people to buy affordable care. But also, don't forget the fact that the administration, which we now are getting an administration that wants to provide relief, that's not lashing people to the mast of Obamacare, which is sinking. And we believe the administration will have the ability to give a lot of regulatory relief. I think Mike Pence, when we had the press conference with him the other week, made this point, which is we believe with the new administration working with us that we can get some quick relief so that people can finally find something that they can afford. And that's just not the case these days. Yeah.
Donald Trump talked yesterday at his press conference about not selling his business or putting his assets in blind trust. Do you think he's doing enough to separate himself from conflicts of interest?
I haven't looked at the details of the arrangement. I'm confident that he's solely focused on his presidency, that he's turning the business over to his remaining family members who are going to run the business. I'll leave it up to the Government Reform Committee to look at this. That's part of their responsibility.
Last question.
Due to the laptop.
Anything concrete about what will be in the Obamacare replacement plans, such as will you pay insurance, your kids are going to be able to get on your insurance till 26?
Yes. Go to our website and you'll see exactly what we're looking at doing. Thank you very much, everybody. Oh, go Packers.